Hello, good morning, welcome back. Last class we did classes, objects and what are access specifiers. What do you mean by public, private? What are the restrictions of data on private and public data members or member functions? And then how to write a class, what is the general syntax and how to create an object for the class and access the data. This is what we did in last class. Today we'll start with member functions. So what are member functions? Member functions are the functions these can also be called as methods. Member functions are the functions or methods that are included within a class. So it's a part of the class. The member functions are the functions which are declared inside a class. Such functions are called member functions. And then member functions can be defined in two places. One is outside the class and the other one is inside the class. First we'll know what is a member function. I'll write a small example for you. For example, if I have to calculate the average marks scored by you in three major subjects like PCM, your three core subjects, what is the average you have scored? So how do I write that? Let me start with class declaration. So class, I will say marks, and then I will say private. Even if I don't private, by default it is private. It is always a good programming practice to explicitly specify it, because if you forget to write public, then everything will be under private. You will not be able to access it outside the class. So I'll write private. Private is in lowercase and the colon. Marks, let me make it as float, because you can get half point in point also, like 40.5 or 50.5. Let me make it as float PCM, right? And then let me have a variable average also, which will hold the average, which will hold the average. So I will take the marks scored by you in physics, in chemistry and in mathematics, and I will calculate the average marks. This is the data members of my class. What are these? The data members of the class. Now in the public section, so public, you write it this way, or I can say public, and then we'll write member functions here. So what are the functions I would need here? I would need a function to take in marks, then calculate and display. So I will say void, because let me write a void function which will not return any value. Get marks, let it be the name of the function, open and close brackets, then void calculate average, and then void display. And I am ending my class. So what are these called? These are called member functions. So class marks has how many data members? 4 data members and 3 member functions. The functions or the methods declared inside a class is called member functions. And then we also did the difference between function declaration and function definition. So what is this? All these three are function declarations. That is, I am writing that I am going to have a function called getMarks, not going to pass any arguments to it, and it is not going to return any value. I am not writing the body or defining the body of it. So I have declared these three functions here as a part of the class marks. Please have a look. Then the member functions can be defined. What do you mean by writing? What do you mean by defined? Again, definition. A function definition will have two parts, that is the function header and the function body. So it can be defined in two places. The declaration will happen in the function in the class, and you can define it in two places. One, either inside a class or outside a class. Now we'll start with inside the class declaration. That is, you write the declare a function and define it at the same place. That is, to define member function inside a class, the function declaration within the class is replaced by the actual function definition. That is, instead of declaring it separately and defining it, I will write the entire definition itself inside the class. The function defined in the class is treated as inline function. By default, any function defined inside a class is called a inline function. So what are inline functions? You would have done inline functions in 11th grade. That is, in the place, during execution, in the place of the function call, the body of the function is substituted. So it has to be a small one-liner or a two-liner function. It cannot have iterative statements, decision-making statements. There are many constraints to it, and it is always a hint to the compiler. It may, if memory is there, it will be an inline, otherwise no. But then by default, any function defined inside a class becomes a inline function. Only small functions are defined inside a class definition. So the thing is, when you are writing your lab programs, make it a practice to declare a function inside and define it outside. Otherwise, by default, it is taken as inline function, and it will give you warnings if there are iterative constraints or decision making, or the function is big. And if you get warnings, there are chances that you may lose marks. So always make it a practice to declare a function inside a class and define it outside. So next is to define a member function. Before that, let me write one small example for what I mean by defining a function inside a class. For example, I have a class hello. Okay. Public void greeting cout hello. So what did I do? I have a class called hello, and then in the public section I have void greeting, where greeting is a function, and this is the function header, this is the function body. Together is the function definition. the entire thing is a function definition. So void, the function does not return any value. Greeting is the name of the function. I'm not passing any arguments to it, and it has only one statement, that is cout hello. So I'm closing the function here, I closing my class here, and a semicolon. This is declaring, that is inside the instead of declaration I am defining the function or writing the body of the function inside the class itself. That is called defining function definition inside a class. So have a look. Next is function function definition outside the class declaration. To define a member function outside the class, that is, say you will declare, unless you declare a function inside a class, it will not belong to the class. The function should be declared inside the class and you need to define it outside. To define a member function outside the class, the function should be declared inside a class. Until and unless you declare a function inside the class, it will not be a part of the class. Declaration is, what would be the return type and what is the name of the function, and if you are passing any arguments, like for example, I want to return an integer value to a function called sum, and then I will pass 3 integer values to it. So how will I write the function declaration? The return type is int, name of the function is sum, and I will pass 3 integer values to it. So this becomes the function declaration, that is, it is going to return an integer value, the name of the function is sum, and I am going to pass 3 integer arguments or parameters to it. So this is called function declaration. So definition will actually contain the actual parameter name, the formal parameter name along with the body of the function. This is just the declaration. This statement should be a part of the class, otherwise the method or the function will not belong to the class. As you must link the class name of the class with the name of the member function using scope resolution operator, that is double colon is called scope resolution operator. It will bind the method to the class, like it will tell you which is the class the function belongs to. Fine. The general syntax, how do I do that? What is the syntax? The return type of the function, the class name to which it belongs to, scope resolution operator, the function name, argument list if any, and then the body of the function. This is written after you close your class, that is return type, class name. This is the return type of the function. Class does not have any return type. The name of the class to which the function belongs to, in which the function is declared, scope resolution operator, the member function name, and the argument list if there are any, and the body of the function. So let us write one example for it. The same we will write, like for example, if I have to calculate the average, last we did the calculate the average of 3 subject marks, we can write that here. So class marks private, okay, float p comma c comma m, and then public void, I will write one function only, calculate and display. I am closing it here. I am closing my class here. So what am I saying? The function is called cal underscore display. I am not passing any arguments to it, and it is not returning any value. So this is the end of my class, because I have terminated my class here itself, and this is called the function, and this is called the function declaration. That is, I have declared a function called this one. I am not passing any values to it, and it is not going to return any value. These are the parts, like the data of the class. That is, data members are 3 variables of the type float, and member function is 1. This is my class. Now I will define it outside the class. How do I do it? The general syntax was return type of the class. So it is void, because see, the function does not return any value. The name of the class to which it belongs to. It belongs to marks, scope resolution operator, and then the name of the function, that is cal underscore display. Return type of the function, name of the class to which it belongs to, and then the function. So I'll say cout enter P, C, M marks. I am asking the user to enter the marks. Cin P, C, M. The user has entered. Then I will say cout marks average marks is P plus C plus M by 3. Directly I will calculate it, close the function. I am not writing a semicolon here because it is not a class. So this is how you declare a function inside and define a function outside the class. The return type, the name of the class to which it belongs to, scope resolution operator, and the name of the function. Have a look. Next, we'll just go through a program which calculates the area of a rectangle. So first I have a class named rectangle. What is the name of the class? Name of the class is rectangle, and I have 3 integer variables: length, breadth, and area. Okay, length, breadth and area are the 3 integer variables, are also called as data members. This is the name of the class. Name of the class is rectangle. It has got 3 data members, that is length, breadth and area. What is this? This belongs to the private section, as no access specifier is defined here. I can say if nothing is specified, then it is private. So I have int, length, breadth and area. Next is public. I have a member function void get data. That is, get data is a function without arguments and without return. I am defining it inside the class itself. So cout enter the values of length and breadth. I am asking the user to enter the values of length and breadth, and I am taking in the values of length and breadth. When you are taking in, see the case in which you have declared the variable, the same case and same spelling you have to use. If you change the case or the spelling, then it will give you the variable is not defined error. So you are asking the user to enter the length and breadth, and you are taking in here. This is cascading of again input operator, because both length and breadth are of the same data type and they are taken in one cin statement. Then you have void compute. Again it's a no return, no argument function, and then void display. But then this is called function declaration. I am declaring two functions here. One is compute, which states that it does not return any value and I am not passing any arguments to it, and another one is display, again which states that I am not passing any arguments to it and it does not return any value. But then I am not defining it in here itself. I am going to write it outside, that is declared inside, written outside. Have a look. Like the rectangle is the name of the class. It has length, breadth and area as data members, which are of integer type, which is declared in the private section of the class. And then you have three member functions. One is get data, compute and display, of which get data is defined inside the class and compute and display are declared inside the class, and we will be defining it outside the class. Next, void. This is how I define a function outside the class. What is the syntax? The return type of the function, the return type of compute was void, the name of the class to which it belongs to. Compute belongs to rectangle, and then the scope resolution operator, name of the function and the argument list. Since it is no argument, we are not passing any arguments, it is left blank. Return type of the function, name of the class to which it belongs to, scope resolution operator and name of the function. After that I will write the body. This is the function header and this is the function body. That is area is equal to length into breadth. Length and breadth are taken in which function? Taken in get data function already, and I can access it because it's class variable. So all the functions or the methods of the class can access the all the three variables. So I have taken in the values here and I am accessing it here. So area is equal to length into breadth. It will calculate this and it will be substituted into LHS. So area will have the product of length into breadth. What is the area of a rectangle? The area of a rectangle is length into breadth. So void rectangle display. Again I am not closing it with semicolon because it is not a class. Class I closed it that time only. So then display, the return type of display was void, that is return type of the function, name of the class to which it belongs to, which is rectangle, scope resolution operator and display is the name of the function. So return type of the function, name of the class to which it belongs to, scope resolution operator and name of the function. The area of the rectangle is whatever you have calculated here has to be written here. This thing is printed as it is because it is in double quotes, and this one is outside the quote. So the value which is stored in that variable is printed here. This ends my class. Now I have to write the main. Without writing main and without creating an object, memory will not be allocated to the class, as well as I will not be able to access the elements of the class, because I have to create an instance of that class. Object is nothing but instance of a class. How do I create it? Void main, then rectangle. Object creation is name of the class space the name of the object. So here I am naming my object as R and I am creating it. Rectangle is the name of the class space R. So R is an object of rectangle, and using the dot operator, object dot the function name. Since all the three functions or member functions or methods are declared in public, I can access it outside the class using the object and the dot operator. So I have to be very careful with the order. That is, I cannot call compute first and later get data, because I need to have data to compute, and once I compute, then only I can display the result. So get data, r dot get data, r dot compute, and r dot display. This will end my main as well as the program which is used to calculate the area of a rectangle. For example, if I give the values for length and breadth as 7 centimeter and 8 centimeter, this will be 56 centimeter square would be the area of the rectangle. Have a look. Yeah, this is the end of the example program. Now we will write the 6th lab manual program, which is write a program to create a class with data members, principal, time and rate of interest, create member functions to accept data values and to compute simple interest and to display the result. That is, you need to write a program with 3 data members, that is principal, time and rate of interest, and accordingly you need to define or you need to declare functions for taking in values, computing the simple interest and displaying the result. So we'll start with the class. Before that, hash include IO stream dot h hash include con IO dot h. So I will say class simple interest, and then I will open it private. In that, what are the data members they said? They said float, principal, rate, time, and I will say SI. So these are the data members, principal, rate and time, and the one I am going to calculate, that is SI. So these 3 are taken from the user. This one is calculated. Then I will say public, okay, void input to take in the values, void calculate to calculate the SI, void display to display the result. So these are the function declarations, that is void input, void calculate and void display, and data members are P, R, T and SI, which is of type float. Name of the class is simple interest. Have a look. This is called function declaration. I have declared it. I will be defining it outside the class. Next, what I have to do? I have to define it outside the class. How do I do it? Return type of the function, void, name of the class. It belongs to scope resolution operator and name of the function. So then open cout, enter values for principal, rate and time. Then cin, p, then r, then t. Fine. I am closing my function here. Now I have to calculate. Void, that is the return type of the function, simple interest is the name of the class to which it belongs to, and calculate is the name of the function. SI is equal to P T R by 100. I calculated it. SI has already been declared. So, whatever you calculate is stored in SI. Fine. Go through this. Then I have to write the display function. How do I write? Return type, void, name of the class to which it belongs to, interest, scope resolution operator, and the name of the function. Display, then cout, simple interest, so this ends my simple interest, display function, which is declared in the simple interest. So I finish writing all the three methods and then have a look. Now I have to write the main function. So how will I write it? I will write void main and then clear screen. I have to first create an object. What was the name of the class? Simple interest, and let me name it as S. Then you have to call the functions in order. If you call calculate first before input, you will not have the values of principal, rate and time. So the order of calling is very, very important. So I will say S dot input, then S dot calculate and S dot the order of function call is also very, very important. So this completes our program. That is void main, clear screen, then simple interest, yes is the object, then I am calling the input function first, then the calculate and then the display. So have a look. Next lab program, that is the 7th lab program, which is very important. write a program to create a class with data members A, B and C. So A, B, C with data members. It has 3 data members A, B, C and member functions to input data, compute the discriminant based on the following conditions, and then you need to print the roots of a quadratic equation. You are going to print the roots of a quadratic equation. If the discriminant is 0, then you need to calculate and print the roots that are equal. If it is greater than 0, you need to calculate and print the real roots, and if it is less than 0, you have to just print imaginary roots. That is imaginary roots. We are not calculating, we are calculating and printing the real roots, equal roots, and then the real roots, and writing if it is less than 0 as imaginary roots. So before that, we will see what is a quadratic equation. Ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0, where a, b and c are real numbers. So a, b, c are real numbers and a is not equal to 0. Ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. We need to find the roots of a quadratic equation where a, b and c are real numbers and a is not equal to 0. b square minus 4ac is called the discriminant. That is okay, b square minus 4ac is called as the or known as the discriminant of a quadratic equation. It tells the nature of the roots, like whether the roots are real and different, or real and equal, or complex and imaginary. Okay, fine. So if the discriminant, that is b square minus 4ac, is equal to 0, then the roots are real and equal. If it is greater than 0, then roots are real and different. If it is less than 0, the roots are complex and different. So we need to, where a, b, c are the coefficients, like you need to ask the user to enter the values of a, b, c, calculate the discriminant b square minus 4ac, and depending on what it computes to, you need to calculate the roots and print. This is the program what you are going to do. So we'll start with the program now. Now we will start with the program. So class, let me name it as quadratic only. Hash include iostream.h hash then class quadratic. It's fine. I will say class quadratic. Then what do I have to do? Private int a, b, c and I will say discriminant, DISC, I will calculate. A, B, C are entered by the user. Fine. I will also have roots, right? So let me say int r1 and r2. Fine. That is root 1 and root 2 I am going to calculate. These are the data members of my class. And I also need, because to find the roots I need to find the square root also. So I will say hash include math.h header file. Fine. So then I finish this. Now I'll write functions. Public void input void calculate and void, or I can say in calculate only calculate and display, and I'll end my class here. So I'll say private int a, b, c and discriminant, and then int r1 and r2 are the roots, and then void input void calculate and display. There ends my class cal and disp. Now what will I do? I need to write the definition of it. So it is return type void, and what is the name of the class to which it belongs to? What is the name of the class then? The name of the class was Quadratic. Scope resolution operator, and then the name of the function. So I will write the name of the function. Just make sure that the case is same. Like if I had used there capital I, then use here also capital I, because I am not very sure and the data is gone. So if whatever I have used, use the same case. Void quadratic input. So I will ask the user cout, enter the values for a, b and c. So I will say that a is not equal to 0. I will assume that. Fine. I will close this. Or I can ask the user not to enter a value. A is not equal to 0. Enter a non-zero value. Fine. A positive non-zero value. Next, what do I do that? I will have to calculate void. Let me write the calculate function. So void is the return type and name of the function is name of the class, void name of the class to which it belongs to is quadratic, scope resolution operator and name of the function calculate and display. Fine. Now I have to first calculate the discriminant. DISC is b square minus 4ac. So b star b minus 4 star a star c. So which will form b square minus 4ac. It will calculate and store it in discriminant. Now once it is calculated, I have to select if DISC is greater than 0. What will I get? Real and different roots. Correct? I will say R1 is equal to minus b plus square root of what? that is b square minus 4ac. I have already calculated b square minus 4ac, so I will write it that way only, the whole by 2 star a minus b plus square root of b square minus 4ac, that is nothing but I have already calculated here, I will put it directly here, upon 2a, that is root 1. Root 2 is minus b minus of so this is the other root, minus b minus square root of b square minus 4ac upon 2a. Fine. Then what will I do? I will print the roots. C out root 1, roots are real also you need to print, and then I will print r1, and then I will print I will close my if here. Fine. And then you have to also print the roots are real and different. See out the roots are real and different. Later you print r1 and r2. Next is else if, that is DISC is double equal to 0. If the discriminant is equal to 0, what it will have? It will have real and equal roots. So what will I do? R1 will be equal to R2, right? So I will just do only R1, that is minus B upon 2A. So then I will print the roots. See out roots are real and equal, and I will print R1. This finishes my second else if. The third one I will write in else itself. So you have a look, because I cannot continue again, I have to erase this. So still the function is not over. I have only calculated the discriminant, that is b square minus 4ac, and then I am checking if the discriminant is greater than 0, then the roots are real and different. So root 1 is minus b plus square root of b square minus 4ac, nothing but discriminant, upon 2a, and minus b minus square root of these two are the roots r1 and r2. Then you need to print first the roots are real and different, and then you print root 1 and root 2. Else if it is equal to, see here we have three conditions, so I am using if, else if and else. Else if discriminant is equal to 0, then what does it mean? It means that the roots are real and equal roots. And how do I calculate it? R1 is equal to R2, which is nothing but minus B upon 2A, and I am printing it. Fine. Now the continuation of the same this thing, it will be else. Else does not come with a condition, because if the roots are neither, it's not greater than 0, equal to 0, then it should be less than 0, discriminant. So what we will do is, see out, what will I print here? the cout, the roots are imaginary. Then I will end my else here and I will end my function here. So we finished with all the functions. Now I have to write main and call it. How do I write it? Void main. Then what was the name of the class? The name of the class was Quadratic. And let me create a object by name Q. Then Q dot input, Q dot cal and display. I will end my program here. So this ends my program here. So what did we do? We did the program to calculate one sample program, and then we did quadratic equation as well as the simple interest, that is program 6 and 7 in the lab manual. So hopefully you have understood that. Next is objects. An object is a real world element which is identifiable entity with some characteristics and behavior, that is, like, see, it also has data members and member functions. In the last class only we studied with that student example only, we studied what is an object and what is a class and how is it related to one another. It is also called as an instance variable because it's an instance of a class. And normally an object is defined in main, but it is not compulsory. You can create an object in some other function also, but then you create an object in main most of the time. Next is how do I create, that is the general syntax of declaring objects of a class. This is the class, fine. Then we created it using the keyword class you can also create it using the keyword class, class name and then the object list, or till now how we created, directly the class name space the object name. You can create multiple object in one line only, like I can have int x comma y comma z, same way I can have student s1 comma s2 comma s3, where these are of the class type, that is objects of the class student. That one also I can do. It is similar to how you create a variable. The same way you can create multiple objects in one statement. This is an example. Object can be created in two ways. One is using the keyword class. You can also use the keyword class, the class name and then the object name like list, or with you can take this out directly, you can start with class name and the object name. This is how you create a object. Student S1, S2, S3 are the objects of the class student. I can say, for example, S1 dot roll number, see in if I enter 101 here, then next time when I enter C in S2 dot roll number and I will enter 102 and C in S3 dot roll number, I will enter 104. So when I say cout S3 dot roll number, it will always print me 104. When I say cout S2 dot roll number, it will always print me 102. So whatever object, each object will have the same set of data. This is the same set, but then you can have different values in that. So in today's class, we finished member functions. What are member functions? How to declare it and define it outside, and how to define it inside. How are they different? And then we wrote one example program, the general syntax we learnt, and 2 lab programs along with object creation. Today's homework questions. Is it possible to access the data outside the class? What is the significance of scope resolution operator? Mention the operator used to access members of a class, and what is an object? All these are exam asked questions. Please make a note of it. So next class we'll continue with the chapter, like we'll study arrays, objects, passing objects, and array as a part of a class, structure as a part of a class, and then what is the difference between structure and a class. So see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye bye.